Welcome to this week's TDD Weekly Report for the week ending February 27th, 2016. This first one's from the Christian Science Monitor. I've been following this subject for a long time, and they just have a latest update on it. It's how an MIT team created a warning system for rogue waves. Out on the ocean, waves act like just like typical waves. They can cancel each other out. They can come alongside each other and add to the height and make bigger waves, and then everything in between. But once in a while, you get the right kind of conditions out in the ocean to where you get these mega monster waves that can be 8, 10 times taller than a normal wave. So you can be sailing along in rough seas, maybe 8 to 10 foot waves, and all of a sudden, it's not likely, but it's possible you could have all of a sudden a 100-foot wave coming your way, and that can do a lot of damage to military ships and totally make smaller ships disappear. So now it says new research improves the ability to forecast rogue waves, also known as killer waves, which can rise without warning to tower over ships and rigs with potentially catastrophic results. I think in a lot of cases in the past, that's some of the ship disappearances where you don't even possibly know. I mean, could you imagine if you were traveling the world in a small sailboat? I mean, you would pretty much have no chance over even like a 60, 80-foot wave. I mean, you'd just be a goner. So a new way of predicting the onset of rogue waves, also known as killer waves, has been developed by researchers at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Until now, efforts at predicting them were limited to costly, inefficient, and time-consuming computer models that aim to map out every individual wave in a body of water. This new method, published February 11th of this year in the journal Fluid Mechanics, is simpler, easier, and faster. It aims to give sailors and sea platform workers a window of 2 to 3 minutes to prepare, including shutting down vital systems. That will work for the military most likely, because you could probably shut it down, aim into the wave, and ride it out with maybe some limited damage or something like that. Don't know how you could really do anything to prepare in a real tiny ship. Maybe possible. I don't really know how much you can seal them up or anything like that. It's precise in the sense that it's telling us very accurately the location and the time that the rare event will happen, said co-author Thomas Sapsis, the American Bureau of Shipping Center Development Assistant Professor of Mechanical Engineering at MIT. We have a range of possibilities, and we can say this will be a dangerous wave, and you'd better do something. That's really all you need. And then it goes down to, there's way more paragraphs here. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but basically it just uses computing power to be able to make predictions of when's the most likely time that some of these waves will actually form together. They also talk about waves, groups of large waves just traveling like in a pack and then coming together sometimes to form these rogue waves, and basically just says that well, I'll read one more paragraph and that'll be the end for this article. In order to take advantage of this new technology, ships and ocean-going platforms will need high-resolution scanning technologies such as LiDAR and radar to allow constant monitoring of the surrounding waves. So you get the input of the systems, the technological systems, plus the computing power, and then that gives you a pretty accurate prediction and an accurate warning of when you need to be expecting one of these rogue waves. So if you get a chance and you want to read the article, I always thought it was very interesting too, because once I heard about something like that, and I just thought it was very, very interesting, because waves, I mean, any kind of a wave system or anything like that, is you're going to have your additive properties and your subtractive properties, and if they all subtract each other, you have a nice calm sea because all the waves cancel them out. In the same way, which would be not real likely but could happen, you could have patches of calm, but you could also have patches to where they all come together and add on top of each other, and you have these rogue waves. So it's just a matter of odds and statistics. This next one is from Peter L. and Robert S. posted this in the TDD Facebook group. Thank you for posting this. Atlas, the Next Generation. Now, I did things by Boston Dynamics before. I did the four-legged creature that looks kind of like, a deer or an antelope prancing through the forest and stuff like that. And this is a new one, though. This is a new one called Atlas. And something specific, I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just going to play a section of the video. And then when this section of the video is over and we come back, I want to talk about something to do with it. So take a look at this little part here. Okay, this was kind of interesting in a way because it relates back, and I've talked about this in the TDD report too, that I've watched a TV show, two different TV shows. One is a British one called Humans, and then another one is a Swedish show called Real Humans, or Actus Maniscore, I believe is what it is in Swedish. And it's about humanoid type of robots. In fact, humanoid type of robots that can pass as human for the most part. Some not, but most of them can pass as human beings. And this robot, if you notice too, he was being teased, and although even using the word teased is probably not accurate, because he probably wasn't a sentient robot, at least what we consider sentient. But because the guy was actually doing the things he was doing to this robot, I noticed in various places where this video was posted that people were really getting upset about what the guy did, and they were saying things like, "Oh, that robot should take that hockey stick and knock that guy up the side of the head with it," or something. This kind of sympathy we have towards machines when they start becoming more anthropomorphic, more like us, and then we sympathize with these machines. And that was one of the kind of creepy things on these TV shows when we get closer and closer to humanoid type of robots and androids and things like that. We start kind of feeling sorry for them, but also some other people actually take it as a way to treat them about as crappy as they treat their fellow human beings. So you've got two different lines of thought there. People just treat them like total crap because, oh, it's my robot and I own it and I can do anything I want with it, so treat it like crap. And then other people that want to treat them as fully humans. And it was just interesting that after watching those TV shows, I see the people's interaction with this guy supposedly, acting like as if he would be teasing this robot if the robot could be teased by knocking stuff out of its hands and moving a package away and making it difficult and things like that. And it does. Emotionally, it evoked a response from me too. I'm like, man, I felt like, hey, that guy's, acting like a real jerk to this robot. But actually what he was doing is he was testing that this robot could actually, with changes in midstream of carrying out a task, that if all of a sudden things suddenly changed, that this robot could adapt and just keep on with the task. So some of these tests obviously were necessary, maybe not exactly in this particular way, because this was obviously for the sake of the video, but you probably do need things like that for testing the development of these kind of robots. But it's just interesting, and I'd like, if anybody wants to, or anybody cares to comment about it, I'd like to get other people's reaction too. Did you emotionally feel that same way when you watched that guy interact with that robot and what he did to the robot? Didn't it make you feel like you were kind of mad at the guy, like the guy was some kind of a jerk? So if you get a chance, put that in the comments. And last up, this is from the Daily Mail. Largest fireball since, and I'll try to read this right, Chelyabinsk falls into the ocean. NASA reports huge explosion of 7-meter rock over the Atlantic. Exploded with about 13,000 tons of TNT, whereas the one over Russia was about 50,000 tons of TNT. Actually, the only thing that is really saving us for some real devastation is the fact that these things are exploding so high. This one exploded right off of, not right off of, but 600 miles. It's exploded in the air 600 miles off the coast of Brazil. I don't know if it was 600 up in the air, 600 miles off the coast of Rio de Janeiro. This thing exploded high up in the atmosphere. So all it would have done, they said, if it was over a populated area, it would have just probably rattled some windows and done some things above like that. Here they say 600 miles, I got to read this right, 6 miles above the troposphere, the atmospheric layer, which the Earth's weather occurs. So it was quite a ways up there. Let's say, probably, I don't know, they still don't give you exactly here, but high enough up that it probably would not have damaged anything even over a populated area. But sooner or later, you got to know that since they say this happens, several times a year, it's not unusual for this thing to happen, and they measure it. There's going to be one of those times that over a major city somewhere in the world, this thing's going to get down low enough to where it's only going to be a mile or two above a major city or near enough to a major city. It's going to really create some damage. So more and more reason why we need to kind of get on the stick and keep track of these objects and stuff like that. It says here NASA tracks around 12,992 near-Earth objects which have been discovered orbiting within our solar system. It estimates around 1,607 are classified as potentially hazardous asteroids. So it says not one single of the known objects has any credible chance of hitting our planet over the next century. One such asteroid, 2013 TX68, which poses no threat to Earth but could get very close to the surface, according to the Space Agency. So there must be another one flying in close to us. But yeah, those are the ones we know about, but there's always the ones we don't know about, and it's a good idea to be prepared. And this, the one thing we could do is along with the rogue waves, preparing and not having to deal with the rogue waves anymore, being prepared for them so large ships can at least survive these rogue waves, also preparing for these kind of asteroid impacts. So anyway, I think that's about it for this week. I think I've covered enough things and took up enough time. So take care, everybody. I will catch you next week.